Support for the Screen Addicts podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code SCREENADDICTS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 14 million balls.
Recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Fire up the projectors, turn on your TVs, and adjust your antennas. It's time for the Screen Addicts Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Screen Addicts Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Cinema Steven Ready Player One Sosa. And if you haven't noticed, Chris will not be attending this podcast this week as he is doing a complete restructuring of his network, and he's going to be coming back next week sounding bigger and better than ever before. Actually, he'll be back this week for the minisode, so we won't be without him for too long. But in his absence, I have found the perfect guest host. So guest host, please take it away.
I am new Super Connor Bro Sosa.
Super Connor Bro Sosa. Well, if you haven't caught on to that, this is my son, Connor, and I really appreciate you coming on last minute. It isn't exactly that you're coming on last minute, but this is actually a perfect topic for you to be coming on. We will be talking about all things related to video games, and first we're going to be talking about the Super Mario Brothers movie that is coming out this week. I mean, it's kind of interesting to have this too, because this is two different generations of gamers, and I'm not a gamer anymore by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I played games back in the 80s and 90s when I was a kid, but it seems like you've taken over the mantle of all that, and you've played all the recent games, so that's pretty good. And starting with Mario Brothers, like, what did you think when you saw that first trailer?
It's a little weird going into a traditionally unspoken game with no dialogue, and now it's going to be dialogue by Chris Pratt. I think it's going to be out there. I think it's also an experiment, and I think it's going to either be good or bad, in my personal opinion.
It's going to be good or bad. Yeah,
I think
obviously.
I don't think there's going to be an in-between for this movie. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's going to be like, oh, that was all right. No, it's going to be hot garbage, or it's going to be beautiful.
Okay, I see what you mean. No in the middle, no okays. It's just going to be either really good or really bad. I got you. You know, it's actually funny that some of the early reviews have come in, and it's sitting at 46% right now.
Yikes.
And that's pretty rough.
Now, is this coming from a film critics review, or is this the audience review?
No, this is the critics review, because audiences haven't been able to see it yet.
And see, now they're probably being a little bit nitpicky when it's the freaking Mario Brothers movie. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. That's what I'm saying.
Well, you know, it's just one of those things too, where I feel like, I think if one thing's overwhelmingly bad or overwhelmingly good, it's typically bad or good. But I don't know. The first trailer that I saw of it, I actually thought it looked gorgeous. All the visual imagery, it looked like a video game come to life, and it's an interesting perspective to take going in the animated route, because it looks like one of the video games just in an extended version for the big screen. You do remember the live action movie that came out?
Oh yeah, okay. The walking Goombas, those dudes look goofy.
Yeah, but
I mean, this is two different eras of Mario fans. This is like, for me, I feel like this is more Mario come to life for me, because I can relate to this, adaptation of Mario more, as you're more used to a 2D. I don't think what was the last Mario game you have a true, recollection of?
Oh, man, I probably Mario 64.
You old man.
Yeah, so actually, that was the one Mario where you got the 3D perspective of the character.
First time.
And I think after that, I probably played Mario Sunshine on the GameCube, which was pretty bad. It wasn't very great.
Oh, don't say that.
Well,
I don't think I do. I think that game's heat.
I disagree, but I will say that some of the games that you used to play all the way up from the Wii to the Wii U and all those different games, even the remastered Super Mario World it's pretty great, man. Like, just visually how it looks. So back to the movie, the 1993 version of the movie was a live action movie that did not do well in the theaters. As a matter of fact, it tanked. It was so bad. It was notorious for being how bad that it was. And it was one of the worst movies ever made. Still considered one of the worst movies ever made. And rightfully so, when you watch it, none of it feels like a Super Mario Brothers video game. It just seems like it was adapted out of nothing. Like, nothing looks the same. Mario and Luigi don't even dress like themselves until the last 10 minutes of the movie. King Koopa, played by Dennis Hopper, doesn't even look like King Koopa. He's just like a guy with scaly head.
I think I have like recollections as like a little kid watching that, and you're like, it's the Mario Bros movie, and I'm like, oh sweet dude, it's Mario. I love Mario, and that thing was absolutely terrifying. Those Goomba, I mean, I've talked about those Goombas are creepy.
Well, they're giant Goombas with tiny
Ain't no one
heads.
stomping on them.
Like, they're actually the very opposite of what they look like in the game. Like, in the game, they're short with big heads, but in the movie, they were giants with tiny heads.
They look more like Bowser than Bowser.
Right. It was a bad choice. I think that being said, I think that this movie taking the animated route is the safe way to go. And as far as the voice cast, I think it's casted pretty well, although there were a lot of question marks when Chris Pratt was announced to be Mario. And I mean, I like Chris Pratt, I like all of the stuff he's done so far, but I thought, man, is he gonna get flack for doing an Italian accent? Because, you know, Mario's very Italian and just very stereotypical. And when the trailer came out, he actually just sounded like a normal guy. So I thought, well, what happened to Mario's voice? It's just Chris Pratt, you know, talking like Chris Pratt. And I think that the production company said, look, we're not going to lean so heavily into the stereotypical accent because, you know, with cancel culture the way that it is. And
I think it's just a matter of playing it safe. Because, I mean, this is the first, like, big video game movie I can really think of. If you're not counting TV shows like The Last of Us, this is the first big video game movie being released in a long time, and I think they want to play it safe and test the waters with something like this, and they're trying to prevent any accidents from happening. I mean, the casting, it caused a ruckus by itself, even though they tried preventing that. I mean, Chris Pratt as Mario is out there, but I mean, he's got the ability to play like these cartoon kid characters. I mean, he was Emmett in the
Lego movie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he has the ability, and I think he'll do fine. I think it's just you're gonna get used to it. I mean, it's gonna be weird at first, but I mean, the guy voicing Mario usually could carry a whole film talking like that. I think it's just playing it safe and just making it flow the best as it can as a movie.
You know, as far as the voice cast goes, I'm pretty excited about Jack Black playing Bowser. I think that there could be a lot of fun to be had there. And I did see something online where people were saying that, please, for the love of God, do not give Bowser some kind of related backstory to where we will feel sorry for him and all of his ways and turn him into a good guy. Just let him be bad, let him be evil. And that seems to be a common thing, a common trope now with a lot of bad guy characters either becoming good guys at the end, or even if it's something like Disney taking some of their most notorious villains and humanizing them and making them somewhat anti-heroes, like with Maleficent and Cruella. And I hear that they're making a couple more villains into movies. And I guess that's the route that they want to take. But I just want Bowser to be Bowser. I want him to just bitch slap somebody or something, you know, just something exciting like that.
I'll say, in certain games, Bowser has not been a bad guy. I'll take note. Bowser's Inside Story. It's a Mario RPG. Bowser was in fact the good guy. True story. This was on the Nintendo DS. Half the game you played as Mario and Luigi on the inside of Bowser's stomach. The other half you played as Bowser. The bad guy was his castle.
Why are you putting that out there, man? Now he's going to be a good guy.
Let it happen.
Let
it happen. All right.
I need
difference of opinion.
I need Bowser to be a bad guy, like I said. But see, I'm glad that you said that because I had no idea. That's another thing that is really separating our generations as far as gameplay, because I know the old stuff and you know the new stuff. But it's like, that's the thing about it, is like I always see Bowser as a bad guy, but here you are with a perspective of him being a good guy. So I guess they're going to go whichever route they want to take. But like I said, Super Mario Brothers, the movie, comes out on Friday. So as for this week, we're going to be talking about video games that have not yet had the opportunity to be made into movies. And we are going to be running down our lists.
Can it be movies or a TV show? In the same format as, say, The Last of Us is being presented.
Oh, like you want to turn it into a miniseries? Yeah, sure, why not?
Let's do it.
Take The Last of Us. Like that's one of the most.
That's changing the system.
Yeah,
that's like a video game reference, right? Systems. You play video games on systems.
That is true.
I keep them going.
And, you know, The Last of Us is definitely one of the most successful, probably the most successful video game adaptation to ever be made. Because most of the time, it's always been video games being adapted into movies rather than an extended television series.
You think that's beating the Street Fighter movie?
I mean, not a lot will. I don't think that a lot will. To lead into the headlines for the next episode, but I heard that they're making a Street Fighter movie. They're going to be adapting it soon into another motion picture, which I'm pretty sure they're going to be taking a more serious route with this one, because if you go back and watch the Jean-Claude Van Damme one, it's very satirical in nature, and it's almost as if it's a joke, and they're all in on the joke. And but we'll look at that new Mortal Kombat movie on HBO Max with your boy Cole Young, the new character that they added.
This'll be a 3-hour episode of me talking mad dog shit on that movie. I could go deep into this, but just know I hate it. I said it once I finished watching it. It was my least favorite movie I've ever watched, and I stand by it.
I thought you just hated the Cole Young character, not
Nope,
Mortal Kombat.
The
whole thing?
The whole thing was wrong.
Wow, okay.
It was a piece of shit.
Well, I thought it was pretty good.
I think Kano was the best part. He was the closest to the character, but the whole thing was awful, genuinely.
Kano is always the best part because he has the best personality, aside from Johnny Cage. We like all of
who wasn't in the movie?
Yeah,
He wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that. Without Johnny Cage.
Oh, and they
what is
tried
Mortal Kombat?
hinting at the end. Oh, Johnny Cage in the next one, but you're not getting a next one. That movie was ass.
Have you heard anything about them making a sequel for it?
I don't think so. That movie wasn't good.
Yeah.
I mean, the general public, I feel like, liked it. I think I'm in the
It was a pretty
outliers.
Yeah, it was a big streamer for HBO Max. I don't even recall it having a theatrical
and I
release.
understand why they did the things they did. Mortal Kombat is like a top 3 movie for me. I think if they did a true adaptation of the accurate Mortal Kombat story from Mortal Kombat 9, that would be a success. It would be really cool. But they made a new, weird story with a brand new character. It was all wrong. Nothing was right. It was not good. And like a super fan's eyes. But to the general public, I'm sure that was great and entertaining for them.
What do you stand on the original Mortal Kombat movies from 94 and 97?
Okay, I know I totally just said that. I hate when they don't like stick to like what they're supposed to be like. But those are closer.
Yeah.
The characters look kind of out of the games. It's super like a cheesy B movie, but it's good. Like when did that in the 90s? Did that come out in the 90s, right?
Yeah,
80?
94.
90. I mean I think it holds up. The cool Goro probably looks goofy to people now, but
Yeah, he's
but like
bad. But he's still a puppet.
practical and he's
Yeah.
practical. It's super neat, especially when you look at the behind the scenes with it. I mean, I think there's like 8 people operating him.
Mm-hmm.
It was super cool, but I like them. I understand they're awful, and oh my god, I know like people dog on like especially the second one. Some of the lines that are being said.
Yeah.
Like what is she? The Sindel. She's like, now you will die. I mean, it is awful, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good awful. Mortal Kombat, the new one, was a bad awful.
I'm going to tell you one thing about the first Mortal Kombat from 94. When that theme song hits, bro, that just tore the roof off motion picture theaters around the world. It was so impactful. It was such a badass theme song. Still holds up. And some of the fight sequences in that original one with Johnny Cage versus Scorpion, for example, that's like one of the best fight scenes I've seen in a long time. Now that we've moved on from that tangent, let's move back on to topic here, which will be our top 3 video games that we would like to be adapted into motion pictures, as they have not yet had the opportunity to do so. You being our guest, you have the luxury of going first, so please, Connor, you're number 3.
All right, my number 3 is actually something I played relatively recently. I don't play too many games, but this one like stuck out, and I actually ended up finishing it, unlike most things I start. And so the one I chose for this, my number 3 pick, is Dante's Inferno. That one I believe was released on the Xbox 360. It got adapted onto the Xbox One where it was playable, and it was a very fun game. And when I thought about this topic, I was like, it's not a super long game. It could probably be fit into a movie. Got a really, really interesting setting. And I think with an actually good story overall, and I think that it would be a fine movie adaptation if they were to look for something to make a movie into.
Is it based off the book? Does it have the same theme as the book, Dante's Inferno?
See, I have never read the book. You want to give me some insight on that?
Well, why don't you tell me what the game is about,
Okay,
and then
so
I'll be able to tell you.
I believe it's been a while, but I believe these demons or Death kills his wife. And he kills Death and takes its scythe, and he's going to go through the 7 rings?
7 circles.
7 circles, there we
Okay.
go, sorry. 7 circles of hell.
Okay, yeah.
And then he goes through and he kills them all, and it was a great game. I mean, it had a really cool look and everything, and then you go like through the 7 circles. It was pretty fun, and I think now that I know there's a book adaptation, I think it could be like interesting.
I mean, yeah, that's very much based off of the book as well. And I always said that the book should have been adapted into a movie. I guess the closest that you get is the Robin Williams movie, What Dreams May Come, much before your time, young man. But yeah.
Oh boy.
So Dante's Inferno, number 3. Okay. Yeah, and that works as my list for books that should be adapted into movies too. So my number 3 pick is a old computer game called Wolfenstein 3D. And you've heard me talk in length about this video game. game as I love it. Basically, what you do is you go into a fortress that is being overrun by Nazis doing experimentations on soldiers, the wounded, and they basically end up creating these super monsters that are running around, and you basically just shoot them up. It's like one of the first early shoot 'em up games, and GoldenEye gets a lot of praise for being one of the more successful shoot 'em up games, but I have to go ahead and say that it was Wolfenstein. And another thing about Wolfenstein that I was kind of apprehensive to choose that one is that there was a movie that came out a couple of years ago called Overlord, which was almost the exact same plot as Wolfenstein. And it's a really good movie. Basically, these World War II soldiers paratroop into this field, and they're trying to infiltrate this castle that has some secrets from whatever experiments the scientist is doing. And it's basically the same thing, because some of these guys are turning into monsters, super strength. And Overlord is a great movie. I highly suggest that one. But I think a movie under the banner of Wolfenstein would just be so much better. It would be so much more action-packed. And my number 3 pick is Wolfenstein 3D. I'm going to go ahead and take number 2 from here.
Gotcha.
Speaking of shoot 'em ups, one of the best shoot 'em ups of all time. This is an old classic, man. This is a Nintendo classic. NES.
You old man.
The old man indeed. And the old man is picking Contra. Contra has no real significance to it in terms of playability. You don't need much skill to play it. Basically, you just have a bunch of guns and you're just mowing down whatever's in your path. You have these 2 soldiers just laying a blitzkrieg of firepower upon these animals, monsters, villains, whatever you want to call them. And what's funny is that even the cover art for Contra had 2 guys that were very similar looking to Schwarzenegger and Stallone, Rambo and Commando back in the day. So they were very heavily influenced on the design of these characters. So I always assume that, hey, let's make a movie with these 2 guys, but obviously they're a little bit seasoned. So I don't even know who I would cast.
Yeah, here we go. Here's my proposition to you, sir. Now say you are the director of the Contra movie. How are you going about this? Who you casting? What's the plot? Going off of the situation.
Oh my god, I don't even know. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't even know who I would cast today. Like,
Stallone.
Yeah, I guess so. Why not? Him and Schwarzenegger. They were retirees hopping back in there. But, I mean, who are some of the big action stars? I guess, like, Statham and Stallone did Hobbs and Shaw, and to me that kind of felt like it could be close to a Contra movie. I don't know, but who would you consider some top action stars that would fit these 2 roles?
Man, I mean, my problem is I've never played Contra, so I haven't seen the cover of it.
You need a big buff dude, 2 buff dudes that look kind of like me.
So probably someone like Tom Cruise is probably too skinny. And did you just call? Yes. Did you just call yourself buff? Big
of course, man. But this is
he is lying to you, people.
This is a audio medium, so you don't need to be delivering trade secrets.
And I've got a 6-pack right here, right now.
Well done. Hey, maybe they should just cast us 2 as the
all right. All right. Here's the Dreamcast. Me and you, Contra 2024. Let's do it.
Wait, Contra? I mean, it kind of suits itself. But
I mean, I'm the main character.
As far as like the action character, I mean, I don't even know. Like, there's not really any action star. I guess Chris Hemsworth, maybe, like, especially in those Extraction movies.
I mean,
like,
I think you want to, like, I mean, of course, people are going to immediately jump to someone like a Marvel person, because I mean, that is so like pop. They're like Chris Evans and who's another Marvel guy?
Chris Hemsworth.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there
any
you go.
of the Chris's.
There you go. Right there. Chris Pratt.
I don't know.
Chris Pratt. There you go.
They don't have like action superstars like they used to, man. Like back in the day, like in the 80s and 90s, action stars were just larger than life characters. And I guess some of them now look more like, if you just spent enough time in the gym, you could look like kind of like them. I don't know. I might be overselling that notion. But anyway, my number 2 is Contra. So, Connor, please tell me your number 2 pick.
All right, my number 2, it's got a little bit of an explanation of sorts. And my number 2 pick is a PS3 exclusive known as Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. Now, this is a JRPG. I believe the game, in its completion time, takes about, say, maybe probably 80 hours if you want to stick with, like, completing the story and in depth. I mean, this takes a long time to complete. I mean, it is a long adventure from a young boy who loses his mother, and then he goes to the other world to help find his mother, and it's just a long journey. And it's in my favorite game ever created. I'm putting it at number 2 because I think there's another game that would make a perfect adaptation, but this game consists of cutscenes from, I'm sure a studio many of you know, known as Studio Ghibli. It's basically the Disney of Japan. They've made things such as Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle. I mean, I'm sure there's a list of films that you can name. That
All the
Ghibli's...
Miyazaki flicks.
Oh yeah, I mean,
yeah.
they're classics. And I mean, when this game was proposed to Studio Ghibli, they were like, would you do cutscenes for our game with your animation? Because it fits perfectly with the style of the game. It's colorful, it's gotten a unique look, and so they got them to do a partnership, and there are Ghibli cutscenes within this game, and they're beautiful. Like, and it got a remaster as of recent and was put to other consoles. It was just taken to the Xbox and PS5, and now it looks even better. And those cutscenes just pop off the screen. So I think if Ghibli did an adaptation of just the whole game, it would be genuinely a hit. I think it's such a beautiful story, and it's like heartwarming, and it's sad, and it's such a good game. I could rave about it all day.
I'm sorry, did you say 80 hours or 8 hours?
80 hours.
80. Holy shit, that is a
That's
long game.
That's you doing no side quests. That's you just trying to go beginning to end, doing the story, and just playing the game. If you want to complete it 100%, getting every achievement, it's going to be probably about 250 hours worth of gameplay.
Oh my god. So basically, this would be probably better suited as a miniseries. Is that what you were talking about? Like maybe a miniseries?
For this one, I think it could probably fit in a 2-hour film span. I mean, they would probably have to rush through some of the scenes, maybe cut a couple things. But I think Ghibli would be able to pull it off. My number one pick, it would need a miniseries.
I see what you
mean. It is a very in-depth type situation. A Studio Ghibli... I mean, it's been talked about before. People are like, why not make a movie out of this? I mean, people love the games. It's got, like, incredibly high reviews. It's, like, an underrated gem. But if they did make a movie out of it, you bet you that my ass would be in that theater watching it.
Yeah.
Because it would be so, so good.
And how many... Aren't there multiple Ni no Kuni games?
We don't talk about Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom.
Okay.
So, the game, it could have had a sequel. And when it was announced there was going to be a sequel, I was going wild because I grew up on this game. I loved it. I heard there's a sequel. I was ecstatic. And they make it a prequel with none of the characters from the original game. And my heart's been broken, and I vowed to never play the game. And I never will, because I can't look past it. I know that's such a stuck-up thing to do, because I'd probably like it if I played it. But it felt like it personally insulted me.
Well, let me ask you something. So, say Studio Ghibli goes on and makes an extended version of this into a movie, and it's a huge hit, which it sounds like it would be, and they decide, hey, we're going to adapt Ni no Kuni 2 into a movie. Oh. Then what are you going to do? I mean, would you
I'll play the game.
I was about to say, like, then by that point, you would feel obligated to do so. But
okay, never mind. Don't make the movie.
So, you're going to change your number 2 pick.
Yep.
All right, sounds good. Well, before we get into honorable mentions, we're going to have a quick word from our sponsors.
Sell out.
Are you hairier than Donkey Kong? Bushier than Sonic the Hedgehog? Then I've got some good news for you. Allow me to level you up to the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped. And oh man, is it a game changer. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, weed whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, crop preserver ball deodorant, crop reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. First off, the Lawnmower 4.0, the trimmer is the future of grooming, and dare I say the greatest ball trimmer ever. Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and also had a 4000K LED spotlight you need a more precise shave. Because this trimmer is waterproof, you can say goodbye to the mess on the bathroom floor. Take it in the shower with you. Less cleanup. You thought that was good, but want to take your grooming game even further to the next level? The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker nose and ear trimmer. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate nose holes. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code ScreenAddicts at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use ScreenAddicts. Unblock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Okay, so before our number ones is obviously our honorable mentions, and I'm going to go ahead and go first with mine. You know, some of the ones that I had were more or less ones that I would like already exist to be redone. For example, something like Double Dragon. That movie was garbage. I still loved it because I like crappy stuff sometimes, but a movie like that should be remade, should be done right. I think that could be a very well done movie series if, you know, given the opportunity to be so. Something like Earthworm Jim from Super Nintendo, I think that would be really fun. I always loved Earthworm Jim. F-Zero is one movie that or one video game that I think would be super awesome. It's basically a futuristic space race. I think that could be pretty interesting. Like a Days of Thunder in space. That'd be pretty sweet. I think that's about, I can't really think of too many video games that hasn't already been done that could be redone in a better sense. But do you have any honorable mentions?
I have actually quite a few honorable mentions.
Okay, great.
I liked your list. This is what I'm going to fire off. I'll try to go through these relatively quickly because we still have our beautiful number ones to choose from. My first one, I have Batman Arkham. Now, I know this is something original, but I think the Arkham games are super creative in their own way. They're an amazing 4 line of games with an awesome story. And I think if they put that story into a movie, I think it'd be great. I mean, I love the villains. Every Batman villain gets their fair share of screen time.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool. My second pick, I'll say Assassin's Creed Origins. This is the only Assassin's Creed game I played. This one takes place within Egypt, following our main character Bayek, and he's the Medjay of his town. And I can't really follow too much. I can't remember it too well because it's been a long time. But it's a very just like, it feels like honestly like you're playing a movie. I mean, it looks beautiful. Takes place in Egypt. He's hunting down like these like kind of people who praise the gods and almost killed his son. They actually did kill his son. Spoiler alert. He hunts them down. They all have like these masks on. They have like names like the crocodile, the scorpion, the cheetah, and he hunts them all down. And it all ties into Julius Caesar, who you joined the group of, I think it was 27 people who assassinate him. And that's the true assassination of the game. In the end, you assassinate Julius Caesar. It'd be a really cool thing.
Well, that Assassin's Creed movie that did come out was not very well received. And apparently they deviated too far away from the original game because it's based on the first one. But you said Origins, right? So that would be a new one.
This is one of the more recent ones. And I mean, I'm not too familiar with Assassin's Creed. I'm not used to them, but I just played this one. Yeah. And it really stuck with me. I really liked it.
That sounds good. I like when they go back, do some revisionist history and stuff.
My next pick is the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Okay. I think this would be really hard to adapt, but I think if they pulled it off, I think it'd have like maybe a similar tone to something like a Lord of the Rings or like a Game of the Thrones.
Sure.
Of the Thrones.
Game of the Thrones.
Game of the Thrones. I think it would have a really cool thing. I think this would probably work in a mini-series. Or if they just stuck to like one of the main quests, probably could do a movie out of it. I think that'd be a really cool one. The next one's a little goofy. We had the Lego Batman movie, right? Mm-hmm. It was super good. Had Will Arnett. How about the Lego Star Wars movie?
How about it?
I mean, it would be a hit.
They've done some,
But I think I'm talking like a true in the cinema released like the Lego Batman movie.
I got you.
Because I mean, that movie was funny. It was really good. It had like some like actually like serious stuff too about how Joker felt left out. Like Batman didn't care about him anymore. Like it was funny. It was good.
Yeah, I was a big fan of both Lego movies. I thought that first one especially really took a lot of people by surprise. But yeah, I mean, the whole Lego universe has so many things that they can play off of, and the licensing that they get to do so, they can have a lot of fun with that. Especially they could adapt basically anything owned by Warner Brothers at this point. So that could be an interesting prospect.
All right, we're cranking these out. The next pick I have would be Psychonauts.
Oh my god.
One of my favorite games. I think it's like number 4 maybe.
Yeah.
It's about our lovely main character Raz. He gets sent to I guess they're psychonauts, these people that they go in the minds of people and they help them see what's wrong with them. This is a very like, I don't know, I want to say like snobby, but it is a very like intelligent, like you pick up on things. If you're not really paying attention, you're not going to understand like the true like master storytelling that it is. But if you're like paying attention, it goes in people's mind. You go in the minds of people and you see like stuff that's wrong with them. And if you pick up on things that like you can struggle with, anxiety or depression or like PTSD, some of these characters struggle with things such as those, and you see that in their minds, but it's portrayed in a fun, like, video game way, but it's got an underlying tone. It's a super cool game. It's definitely unlikely to ever get made into a movie, but I think it'd be really cool.
I'll say what you wanted to say. It's not a game for dummies, okay?
No, it's not.
Yeah, you were polite. We raised you right.
My next pick, I think this one, if anything was going to ever get made into a movie, I think this is a great chance. That's going to be Red Dead Redemption, preferably 2, because that's the only one I've played. Okay. It is a true, like, perfect Western game. I don't even play, like, shooters really too often, but that game entranced me so much. It has, like, an amazing story. It breaks your heart and makes you laugh. And I mean, the characters are so lovable. They make you love them just so they can kill them right in front of you.
Yeah, sounds like The Last of Us.
I mean, it's so good. That I honestly, I'll put it out there now. Within the next 10 years, I think it'll get made into a film or TV adaptation.
Well, I think with the success of The Last of Us, you're probably going to be seeing a lot of those more recent games like that being adapted much more sooner than later. And with Red Dead, like I haven't even played the game, but I know a lot about it just because of the popularity of it and how much people have talked about it. And you can always go to YouTube and just watch the story modes being edited and spliced together into one long movie. And some of the stuff in Red Dead is just so compelling. And it does look really good. Like it could be a great movie, miniseries. It could be anything. Any of these could be either one. But yeah. So do you have any more?
I've got our last two.
Oh, okay.
Last two. I'm dragging this.
No, you're good.
My next pick is going to be Ark Survival Evolved. Now, it sounds goofy when you think about it. And I thought Ark was a game with no story. It made no sense. Thought you were just put on an island with no real explanation and there's dinosaurs. But I watched some YouTube videos lately, and within the game, you find these things called Explorer Notes. And they're made by 4 different people. They all have their own Explorer's Notes. If you actually pay attention to those Explorer's Notes, it actually tells a story of Ark, which has a legit, super interesting story of 4 people stranded on an island with different personalities that adapt and evolve, like the name of the game, and they try and living with these dinosaurs. And it's got it's an insane story. Like I did not know Ark was so intense with their story, but when you learn about it, the things you see in the game genuinely make sense, and it's super cool. And I mean, there is an Ark animated TV series coming. So, I mean, that's a clear sign, but I think a movie would be really, really cool.
You know what that makes me think of? That actually makes me think of Turok, Dinosaur Hunter. I mean, but Turok is more of just straight up action, shoot 'em up, like a guy living in this world where he's just basically killing dinosaurs. You know that new movie that came out with Adam Driver, that 65, where he's this futuristic scientist or soldier that gets sent back in time to the land of the dinosaurs? I thought it was going to be something like that, but it didn't live up to that hype. Okay, so any more honorable mentions?
All right, my final pick for my honorable mentions is going to be Dark Souls. We'll say 1 through 3. It's got a super cool environment, really, really cool bosses that I think could be translated into super cool fight scenes. And there's a underlying story that is pretty interesting, and I think it'd make a really good narrative for a movie. So that's my final honorable mention. And that one was pretty close to making my list, but as a surface level analysis, I think that'd make a really cool film.
Okay, so I guess we're going to be rounding out our number ones here, and since you are the guest, we always like the guests to go last to finish this in style. So I'm going to go ahead and say my number one. And my number one has the potential to be one of the most boring movies or TV miniseries of all time, but that is The Oregon Trail. And Chris would probably agree with me on this pick. And The Oregon Trail was the old computer game from the 90s, and you really don't do anything but just kind of settle and die of dysentery. But I think if you fashion the story into something a little bit more action oriented, I think it would be a really good Western. It could be a good mini series. You'd have to sprinkle it with a lot more gunplay or something like that to make it a lot more exciting. And I can't help it. I love Westerns. I always have. I always will. So, and we don't have too many more Westerns anymore. I guess if you don't count like Yellowstone, which is a more contemporary Western, or any of the Yellowstone spinoffs on Paramount Plus. But I think you should have the creators of Yellowstone come in and make an Oregon Trail miniseries, and I guarantee you it'll be number one. So that is my number one pick, Oregon Trail. I probably should have picked a different one, shouldn't I?
Yeah, that was weak sauce.
I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know. I just love that game growing up. I really do. I mean, I also like Mac Brickout, but how can you fashion that into a movie? I guess it'd probably be something more compelling. But you know what? This is why I decided to take my number one first, because it definitely won't live up to any kind of high caliber story, I'm sure, like yours will. So please save me for my number one pick and tell me your number one pick.
All right, I'll give the people something interesting this time. All right, my number one is a game created by Sega, a very popular game known as Yakuza. And as I said earlier within the show, this is the one that I truly believe would make a great miniseries. Maybe put on HBO or something. This takes place within Japan, and I think this would need to be a foreign film. What is it? A miniseries. It is led by the main character, Kazuma Kiryu, who has been ejected from the Yakuza for being held up for a crime he did not commit, and we follow his entire journey throughout the Yakuza. It's an extremely compelling story that I think would make like a great narrative for a TV show. It would leave you with great cliffhangers, and I think maybe for the first season of the miniseries, you could cover Yakuza 0, and then the second season, you could cover Yakuza the second game, and then you could keep going, because the story it never like gets bad. It has a consistent, extremely interesting like plot, and it never lowers in quality, and I think it would make a great series. And I think it would have to be done with Japanese actors. It would have to be like a Japanese production put on HBO, because it's the only true way to truly put this with respect and given the right due and putting out the best product that could be presented from this game.
Basically, you don't want anybody to come in and whitewash it like Scarlett Johansson and
the Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah,
God.
I get you. And, it's funny how you say Yakuza, because apparently that's the proper pronunciation.
Yakuza.
Because what we always said, Yakuza. That's kind of how we always said it.
It's like the same thing. Like, people say Sakura. It's Sakura. I mean, it's kind of a translation thing. And unless you're like a person who really like is interested in that kind of culture, it's easy to make mistakes like the Yakuza. But it's Yakuza and Sakura, two easy ones.
Well, that's kind of American cinema's fault, because there have been movies like Black Rain in '89 where a New York City cop goes to Japan to fight the Yakuza as they said it in that movie, and that's kind of the pronunciation that.
And so that just gets put in people's minds, and they're like, "Oh, the Yakuza, okay, right. That's how it is," and then it's all wrong.
And it's funny. There's a show on HBO right now called Tokyo Vice that's actually pretty popular, and I think it deals a little bit with Hong Kong police force. There's an American cop goes over there, and I think they're trying to infiltrate the Yakuza, and it sounds somewhat similar to this game that you're talking about, but...
The Yakuza is from Japan. The Chinese in Hong Kong, they would have the mafia.
Well, I don't know. Did I say Japan?
You said Hong Kong.
Oh, I don't know what... Yeah, that's probably my bad.
It's all Asian culture.
No, see, I don't want to, assume this cultural appropriation.
I was like,
But, I mean, I don't know. I just assumed that it was like, oh, yeah, Tokyo. Mm-hmm. That's Japan. That's what I said.
You said Hong Kong.
I did not.
You said Hong Kong.
I'm going to go back to the tape. We're going to double check this.
But future Connor, it was China.
But yeah, that seems like a pretty good pick. That's a game that you played recently too, right?
Mm-hmm. Flew through that sucker. It was it's so good. And funnily enough, in the dub version, which I would not recommend, but in the dub version of the game, there's a super psychotic person, and he's actually played by Mark Hamill himself.
Oh, really?
He is.
That's so cool.
It's not close to as good as the sub, but he's got the best chance at rivaling it. But that's another side note. I mean, it ties in with saying it needs to be a Japanese production. It needs to be with the voice actors. Not the voice actors, but people that look like the characters and can sound like the characters and play them accurately.
Does Mark Hamill speak Japanese?
Oh, no. He's in the dub.
In the American dub.
Yeah.
I got you. I thought he was in as a voice in the original game. Wow, that would be pretty awesome, though. I mean, Mark Hamill, he could do any kind of voice.
He's great as the Joker.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. He's one of the best.
He's not the best Joker.
Are you going to say Alan Tudyk?
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, Alan Tudyk and Harley Quinn. Yeah, he's pretty good.
And Clayface.
Yeah, right. I don't know how this got into Harley Quinn.
I know.
But I mean, yeah, I think as far as vocal range goes, Mark Hamill is one of the best. And we didn't even really talk about a lot of the voice work in some of these video games, but I mean, there's some pretty high quality stuff going on, and there's a lot of, especially with the mocap that you have to do, and apparently a lot of these behind the scenes of some of these games, you see these actors portraying these video game characters, and there's a lot of emotional depth in their performances.
I mean, that's something you have to, that's what makes some of these games. Red Dead, for example,
yeah,
it would not have the emotion and pain that it takes from you if these characters weren't giving their 100%. The main character in Red Dead 2, Arthur Morgan, if that guy was not voiced perfectly, it would not be as hard. But the stuff he goes through is so heartbreaking because he plays that character with such passion.
And you know what I like about a lot of these video games is that they don't cast A-list celebrity actors to come and voice these characters. They actually cast really well-trained voiceover artists that come in and that really suit these characters to perfection, and it's another reason why some of these are so compelling.
But that's my number one, Yakuza. Everything 1 through I think 7.
They have 7 of those games.
Yeah, and they're still coming out.
Oh my god. Okay.
But now they've got a new main character, new story.
Is that Yakuza 8?
Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Oh, okay.
I haven't played it.
Sounds good. Did it just come out or what?
Relatively new.
I don't know if it could top Shinobi, but that's just...
Oh my.
That's my
Ninja Gaiden.
Ninja Gaiden! That's a game right there, buddy.
But you should have chose that. So the Oregon Trail.
Well, hey, man, you know what? I'm going to sleep soundly knowing that Oregon Trail was my number one.
Yeah, you put me to sleep soundly with the Oregon Trail.
Something like Mega Man would actually be pretty awesome.
All right, let's run this one back.
Or Metroid, and now I'm thinking of all these games that probably would have been... F-Zero would have been good. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go to sleep tonight thinking, damn it, why did I pick that one instead of something else?
Yeah, you made me look great. Appreciate you.
What's that one game that just came out, Ghost? That looks pretty good. Titanfall, Destiny, some of those would be really good adaptations.
But the only problem is I have no experience with those, and neither do you. So it'd be
That's true.
We used to such faffs.
I just see the I see the commercial trailers for them. I'm like, damn, that looks amazing. I will say that I do have experience in Halo, and I am super disappointed with that Paramount Plus series that they made. It was such a bust, and they had been in discussion of making a Halo movie for, oh my god, like 10 years, over 10 years, probably close to 20 since the first one came out. And Peter Jackson had a handle in it. Neil Blomkamp, who was the director of District 9, had a hand in that. And you know what? I would almost prefer them to go ahead and try and make Halo again, but as a motion picture. And some of the visual work in that television series was good, but man, the story was terrible. Master Chief takes off his helmet in the first episode. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, this is terrible. But yeah, that was kind of a disappointment. All right, well, any more closing thoughts on any video games, Super Mario Brothers, anything else?
I'm hyped to see the movie. I hope it lives up to my expectations. I'm expecting something funny, enjoyable, and I hope my top 3 gets made into movies because they were the greatest 3 picks you could ever chosen.
They are okay. I mean, not compared to mine.
All right, Oregon Trail, the snoozer.
All right, well, I'd like to thank you, Connor, for joining us. And for anyone that is listening, please do so and subscribe to the podcast on all of the podcasting platforms. I'm sure you're already subscribed to us now if you're listening. But if you're not, you can join us on Facebook. The Facebook group page is pretty big, the Screen Addicts Fanatics, where we share a lot of trailers, news, and it's a pretty good group over there. There's a lot of commercial talk and stuff like that. Also, if you want to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, we're everywhere. Just search Screen Addicts or Screen Addicts Podcast. TikTok or Twitter's a little tricky. It's screen_addicts, ADDICS. And of course, leave us a review on any of the podcasting platforms you're listening to. This is where Chris really shines, is on the closing announcements. I'm not very good at it. I'm always just like, yeah, go ahead and follow us or go listen to us wherever you find your podcast. We always have our link trees set up for everything, so that's always pretty good. And
if you want to find more of me, go to twitch.tv/ConnorTheChef or twitch.tv/LordMankey1. I don't upload consistently, but I'll get there one day. That's a nice little plug for myself.
Yes, it is.
If you want some more of my lovely voice, my amazing commentary, after gracing you with my presence, twitch.tv/ConnorTheChef or twitch.tv/LordMankey1.
I'm such a terrible host and dad. I didn't even ask for your plugs, but yeah, there you go.
Oh, and Lord Mankey1 on Xbox? No, don't follow me. Don't follow me.
No. Well, yeah, your YouTube handle, or you're not your YouTube, your Xbox handle. That would be good.
I play solo games. I mean, that's what my whole list was.
Oh, excuse us.
Yeah,
I'm talking to the wizard over here.
Yeah, you're excused. All right.
All right, well, thank you everyone for listening, and as for me, adios amigos.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Screen Addicts Podcast.
Breaking news, Manscaped now sells beard products. That's right, they are once again revolutionizing men's grooming with a brand new beard hedger. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind the beard hedger allows you to shape your signature beard look. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using the code SCREENADDICTS for 20% off and free shipping.